Let me show you the story. We got the story from Fox News. New York governor refusing to budge on vaccine mandate for nurses. You're replaceable. I don't think they realize, right? We had a story that one hospital in New York was no longer going to deliver babies because they had no maternity ward nurses.
It's like upstate New York.
This is a bet the New York governor is going to lose. They're not replaceable. Not going to happen.
No. You know who is replaceable? The governor.
Oh, yeah. Look at
That's
that.
true.
Oh,
I could replace the governor with a golden retriever and we'd probably be better off.
Definitely.
Basically.
So when they start firing people, I think the economy is going to just...
Yeah.
You look, they come out and they say, we're in a very serious pandemic. We need to mandate this stuff. Okay. What happens when you eliminate nurses in the middle of the pandemic? Pandemic gets worse. That's where we're going.
Weren't they just complaining that we're having a nursing shortage? I don't understand where she's
They're
coming
paying,
from.
They're literally paying travel nurses exorbitant amount of fees to come work for them when they could just pay the nurses a little bit more. But no, instead they're going to go ahead and fire them.
Yeah, what did she say? She'll bring in foreign staff or something?
That's so expensive.
We're sending out a call statewide. There are facilities, for example, in New York, that 98% of the staff are vaccinated. They don't have a worker shortage. We are working closely with these hospitals to find out where we can get other individuals to come in and supplement nursing homes and other facilities. Her comments come after she had already said on Tuesday while visiting the Niagara Power Project, those who refuse, we will find replacements. Those who refuse, you have my utmost respect. Do not give the government an inch. They will take 10 miles.
It's a power play. That's all it is. Because, I mean, again, if you have nurses refusing the vaccine mandate and nurses are regarded as health professionals, then what do you think is going to happen to the rest of the people? And when
these certainly must be the stupidest nurses on the planet to be in these hospitals where they can actually see the vaccine workings and then reject them. What strange individuals. I'm being facetious, by the way. The point is, I don't know what they're experiencing. And there are a lot of people who, like the left, have been like, wow, someone actually tweeted this on the left. They're like, these nurses must be really stupid to be working in the hospitals where they can see the vaccines work and refuse them. And it's like, maybe there's still breakthrough cases. Maybe there's, like, it doesn't matter. If you're a nurse and you see people coming in for COVID, you're not going to see a grand global overview of the numbers.
Well, it all goes back to what do you define as a breakthrough case? Because, again, I think the vaccines were rated even at their peak for like 95, 90% efficacy. So what do you call the other 5%? What do you call the other 10%? That's expected. So that's not even a break. Again, that's a semantic fear word, like breakthrough case. Oh, your vaccine, it may or may not work. No, we've already controlled for that. But the fact is, you get the vaccine, you have a better chance of surviving, then you can develop real immunity. Now, the issue with the whole nurses refusing the mandate is if you get the vaccine, you get the SARS-CoV-2 virus up in your nose, you can still spread it, but you don't know you have it because your symptoms are reduced. So now they can potentially spread it to even more patients because they're almost confirmed to be asymptomatic. Or especially if they have a working immune system, they're not going to have symptoms. So now you just, and especially
testing
when
for
they weren't
everybody.
testing. Yep.
Now it's going to be mass testing for everybody.
That's controlling for a mistake that they made because, again, we just didn't have the data. It's like I said, nobody's an expert on this.
You know what? I say we do it right now. I say not a vaccine mandate, a swab mandate to enter all establishments. So every business has to have someone employed at the door, and when you walk in, they stick the thing in your nose, they put it down, and you wait 15 minutes or whatever. How long does that take? It takes 15 minutes? Or no, it takes longer than that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think about 30. I'm not sure.
All right, you stand outside for 30 minutes, and then if you all right, you can come in now.
Bad
I got
business.
the finger test where they prick your blood, and they check or whatever. That was negative. But they like put the thing on your finger and they smash it and then it like goes through your skin and then they do the blood. That was instant. It was like you literally look and go, you're good. It was like instant was more like
I had one where they put the thing on my forehead and then they like put a green light on my forehead or something. You guys get that? And they're like, yeah.
It's just a temp scan.
You're good. Oh, it's temp scan.
Yeah. Trying to see if it's laser, trying to see if you were
looking at
sick.
manifestations of, if you're febrile. Again,
That's what it's doing for sure.
This story shows they don't care about you. They don't care about your rights. They don't care about your freedom. They don't care about the Constitution. They will replace you. So we should replace them. We don't need these fat cats, these bigwigs.
It's our duty to replace them. I don't like term limits, man. Term limits. How do we make it? How do we make it happen fast? We don't need to make it happen fast. How do we make it happen legitimately?
Midterms.
Yes, but there are two distinct cultures in this country that I don't think that solves the problem at all. I don't know what does solve the problem, because you can have Tom Cotton come out and say, we should consider whether or not COVID leaked in a lab. And New York Times says crackpot conspiracy theorist, Tom Cotton puts out crackpot conspiracy theory. And then a year later, some guy, former New York Times, is like, actually, it may be. And they go, oh, it may be. Or Hunter Biden's laptop. They come out and they're like, they found an old laptop. There's no proof. We're not going to look at it. The NPR said it's not even news. We won't entertain it. Twitter said we're going to block the New York Post from sharing it. And then a year later, they're like, oh, that laptop thing? Yeah, that was true.
Yeah.
I had this thought that we used to write constitutions and laws. Now we write code. So if the code does it, there's no like enforcement. The code happens. So we
What
need
do
to,
you mean?
like, if you're living in a digital society, the code's going to dictate what you can and can't do just by basis of what the code is coded to do. So that's like the law is built into society at that point. The law is part of the function. So maybe that's the future.
Like social media. You could use a word on YouTube that makes your video not appear. So there's like invisible enforcement that someone put in play that is shaping our culture without anyone's permission. We've lost control. The machine is taking over. And here's the crazy thing. It's not an AI. It's just a random amalgam of different code and maybe some machine learning. But for the most part, they ban words based on what words. If a word could sound like another word, and they'll ban you for it.
They ban sounds. Isn't
No
that nuts?
oversight. There's literally no oversight. And I mean, that's the argument against having just code, because again, code's going to happen. There are going to be errors because code's dealing with people. People can say something. A code can't sort out for sarcasm. A code can't sort out whether or not you're quoting something unless you say begin quote, end quote, or something like that. And if you go that route and you just eliminate, let's say enforcement or politicians in general, where's the appeal process?
You could build it into the system, like a jury system, with like a transparent free software code. And then if someone feels like they were wronged by the way the code acted, they could appeal to a jury of your peers. Like 1,000 random people could get an opportunity to view the process, and then that could self-alter the code. If you get enough times that this thing has gone wrong, then the code rewrites itself, or the people overseeing the code can rewrite it.
Sounds good, but again, if it deals with people and it's dealing with personal interpretations, and then those personal interpretations are being cultivated by that same code and algorithm, then you're just back at square one.
Interesting.
There's a lot of problems in that, because people are going to argue, and then you're going to get people saying, here's the real problem, and it's going to break down as to who gets to implement the code. I think maybe one of the simplest solutions would be if you just took one person and appointed them supreme chancellor with absolute power to do anything, and then just said, you know what, you take care of us.
Yeah.
We don't have to fight anymore.
I like that.
We'll just have them be allowed to do anything and control all of the law enforcement.
Genius.
And just accept that their decisions are law.
Genius.
Yeah.
But we say that jokingly, but the fact that I had to add a disclaimer we say that jokingly, but here's the problem. The left is constantly burning books, removing history, removing the stories and tales of when we did things like that and when they went horribly wrong. So what happens when you get the next generation that does come up with that idea and they don't have the history to tell them, you might not want to do that?
It's a big part of why I don't like that they've censored the swastika, because you need to know. Symbol. You got to know the history of the Nazi Party, man. You got to know.
There's cartoons, Family Guy, Justice League, that they show these symbols, and now they're like, oh, we can't show that, it's offensive.
I'm just assuming that they banned the swastika. I don't know if the swastika's banned. Can you show a swastika on YouTube?
It is algorithmically reduced in a lot of capacities, and depending on the context, Twitter might remove it or flag it.
And there's a big difference. We talked about this before the show. Talking about something racy, like a word, is very different than using that word to describe someone or attack someone. But it should matter for,
of course,
it should matter for the future.
No, it matters to human beings. It doesn't matter to the machine.
Yeah,
the machine doesn't care why. Or actually, I think it no longer matters to the people either. It's like that Netflix executive was explaining to people racial slurs and why they were banned and what they were, and he got in trouble for saying it. Imagine being part of like a diversity and inclusion thing where you're like, we're going to be explaining racial slurs, why they're offensive and why you can't say them, and then someone gasps when you say it to tell them not to say it, and he got fired. So he gets this Netflix guy gets called to HR. And they're like, what happened? And he goes, I was explaining to them racial slurs and like what was not acceptable. And I said, and they went, oh, he said it again. It's like, well, you asked him. What? He got fired, lost his job.
John Schnatter.
Yeah, look at Papa John. We had Papa John on the show. He was explaining on a phone call how this word's offensive. And like, Colonel Sanders used it. Nobody even got mad at him. And they were like, oh, he said it. He didn't call anybody any racial slurs.
Saying the sound is so different than calling someone a name. keep that. I could call you I could be like, call you a name that's like an innocuous word, and it's more offensive than if I'm discussing the etymology of a word.
There was a period where people were using Facebook, Skype, Twitter as like slurs, trying to get the word banned, I guess, or whatever the point was. But there was a period where it was like the left was writing saying like these are now slang for racist terms or whatever, and it's like, oh geez. In the Kyle Rittenhouse case, apparently the judge said he didn't recognize the OK symbol as a symbol of white supremacy, and that he thought it was what did he say used it? Oh, it was really funny.
Literally everyone.
Let me see.
Popeye the Sailor Man.
I'm curious. I don't remember.
I've seen AOC throw up 2 of them.
I know. So did Obama.
A-OK.
Dog whistles.
I know. It's perfect. It means perfect.
Well, actually, it could be more of a dog whistle, seeing how the progressive parties basically, again.
Who's it a dog whistle for? And who is hearing the dog whistles? Is it a dog?
We never.
Just saying.
It's like we never considered the possibility that these people could be entirely subversive. They could be virulent bigots, and this could have been like a 10-year plan to get in under the guise of being an ally and eventually turn it back or turn the country back to the age of Jim Crow.
I'm seeing it.
Chef Boyardee.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
God, I haven't had that.
I used to
in
eat a
minute.
lot
Yeah.
of that stuff.
For good reason.
Cans of it. Ugh.
So yeah, the judge said the OK sign is also used as a game and in old Chef Boyardee campaigns.
Oh, yeah.
I certainly
Yeah.
would keep the door open if you can show that there is any connection between the defendant on the day in question and this organization. But as I said before, if this organization embraces the defendant after the fact and he's lionized because of his behavior, that is not something that the jury can make anything out of that would be lawful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Now the question is, Ian, again, with algorithms, do you get that level of nuance into it? Can an algorithm be that nuanced and make that judgment call?
At this stage, I don't think so. No.
I would hazard that it couldn't. It will never, unless you get an algorithm that's so sufficient that it can replace humans entirely.
What would happen is, okay, you make the OK sign on on your Minds video, and then the AI flags it and is like, hey, offensive thing, and then you're like, no,
Kinda
I
like
wasn't doing it offensively, I was doing it in non-offensively. So then you appeal it, and then it goes out to like 1,000 people that get to vote. Did he use it in context, or is the AI right? And then they vote, and then the AI changes itself.
No.
That's
Ian,
ideal,
Ian,
I think.
Ian,
to me right
once
now.
again, your idea is absurd and wrong. I'll tell you what we should do. And mine should roll this out. As you're posting, there should be a little circle with like a red light that's, flash a little bit. And if you're about to post something offensive, it goes, I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Ian.
You're like, I want to
Yeah.
freezing your
Yes,
bloodstream,
Starfox.
Ian. Hold still, Ian.
I want to post this meme. I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Ian.
Cryo freeze
Don't press
initiated,
that button.
Ian.
Don't press that button. Don't
And then robotic arms can come out of the ceiling
Hold
and
still, Ian.
hold still. It's for your own good.
It's going to amnesticize you and take away the will that you ever had to post
Oh
that
yeah,
meme.
Andreas has been talking about neural net, and one of the things they might do with it is for violent prisoners, rather than put them in prison, put them on a neural net that like dampens their willpower to
lobotomize
become
them.
Digital lobotomy. I don't know if that's ethical, but it's a use of the technology.
The ethics committee would never go for that again. That's
But like, is it ethical to put someone in prison for 20 years? It's kind of the argument.
again, then it's like, kind of, what do you do with it when you have an unrepentant? These are imperfect, and we're dealing with people. People are imperfect, and these problems, unfortunately, will never have a perfect, neat answer. All you can do is just mitigate harm. And unfortunately, it goes back to the pandemic. Democrats haven't figured out that you can't do anything. You just got to mitigate the harm. There's no perfect neat, but everybody's a coward.
Well, there's power, and regular people and the people in big cities are terrified. They're like, they scream.
That's
and
what
stuff.
Zuby just tweeted out. He was like, she's been traveling the U.S. and he was like, man, these blue states, whatever, they're talking about the big cities. He says, there's so much fear, and it's really dampening my vibe. It's messing
Red
with my
states.
vibe,
Noticed
man.
that.
I want to go back to Florida and
Dude.
Texas.
Poor guy.
Yeah, West Virginia. It's like life is
Whatever.
normal. It's weird to see going to the casino. They ban masks because it's a casino, and they're like,
Right.
you can't wear masks, but people still do it, and they don't say anything. But I'm like, it's kind of weird. People are smoking in there. West Virginia, man, we got freedom. It really is great.
freedom. But
Yeah, freedom if you can keep it, I guess.
freedom is scary, though, to an infantilized people.
It is
And that's the
scary.
problem, is that, again, people in our stage, this is why I'm black-pilled. I know, Lids.
Yes,
I'm not
you
supposed
are.
to do that.
Stop
I'm
it.
not supposed to do that. But I'm black-pilled when it comes to, libertarianism in general, because libertarianism would have worked when people were more rugged, more robust, more
Right.
open to risk. But now everybody's so infantilized. It's like the muscle doge meme and the little cheens, and it's like It's kind of like, back in the day, people were all they would take risks. They would do what they needed to do. And nowadays, it's like, someone called me a mean word online.
Now, if there's something you don't know, you just look it up. That didn't exist before.
That's something that we have. But I mean, the search for the knowledge, like just doing something more than Google searching, like going to your library and grabbing a book, that allowed you to uncover more. But we don't have that now. Now you can just look something up, and people are so spoiled.
You have to ask people.
It
was so much conversation was, hey, can you answer this?
Wrong. There's a funny comic where it's like, it says then, and it's like two guys sitting down, and one guy goes, hey, what year was Abraham Lincoln assassinated? And the other one goes, I don't know. You want to go to the library? Not really. Okay. Then the panel below, it's like, now, hey, what year was Abraham Lincoln assassinated? And then he holds up his phone, and what was it, 1864?
I think.
I don't know the exact year, but he holds up his phone and
Sure.
just says it. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.